Welcome friends to my channel. In this video, we will discuss about need for conservation of natural resources. So by using natural resources, we are hampering our environment. So why we need for conservation of our natural resources? So we'll discuss about it. Let's start with the introduction. Here the modern economy is a resource-based economy, and all the development of a country or a region is based on resources, especially on natural resources. Nature has given us abundant resources in the form of water, air, heat, natural vegetations, soil, wild animals, metals, fossil fuels, etc. And we are using it our daily life. And man, by his technical skill and knowledge, is using all these resources in the some way or the other, right from the down of civilization. A resource is a wide term and its dictionary definition. So here the dictionary definitions are given, but resource is a important things that a human need. So according to Zimmerman, the word resource does not refer to a thing or a substance, but to a function which a thing or a substance may perform, or to an operation in which it may take part. So in detail we will discuss. So resources need for conservation. So natural resources is the important factor that should be conserved. So in natural resource, any element of our natural environment such as soil, water, forest, wildlife, mineral, etc. that man can utilize to promote his welfare may be identified as a natural resource. Natural resources vary greatly in quantity, mutability and reusability. Therefore, can be classified in the following categories. So, natural resources can be classified into inexhaustible and exhaustible. Inexhaustible, there are two types of inexhaustible. One is immutable and misusable. So, in immutable, it's incapable of much adverse change through man's activity, such as uh, wind power, uh, precipitation, tidal power, atomic energy. So these are the power we can generate more and more, but it will be recreate again. And misusable, little danger of complex exhaustions by, but when improperly used, their resources quality may be impaired, such as solar power, atmosphere, ocean, water power of flowing stream. These are. And in case of inexhaustible, it's a type of renewable energy, non-renewable energy. And in case of renewable energy, the living or dynamic resources which perpetual harvest is dependent upon proper planning. That means proper planning and management. That means for using these resources we require proper planning and management. So these are the water in place, soil fertility, product of a land and agriculture products, products of lakes, stream and impoundment, product of oceans, human resources. So in case of non-renewable energy, there is once going there, so no hope of replacement. Means when we used once, then we can't replace it again. So these are the mineral resources, fossil fuels, species of wildlife. So now we'll discuss in brief concept of resource conservations. The word conservations is derived from Latin word con, means together, and serve means keep or guard. Literally, therefore, conservation means to keep together. And the word was coined by a scientist in White House conference in 1908. So, in this conservation of natural resources is a concept that deals with the rational use of resources so that a harmony between man's resource requirement and its availability can be established. While renewable resources need a proper resource management system, and nowadays every country is very particular regarding its natural resources and tries to genuinely adopt conservation policies. So here for conservation we require a strict policies for conservation. The conservation movement in its present form was first started in USA under the guidance of Gifford Pinchot, head of US Forest Services from 1898 to 1910. Then after different scientists have came and they started conservations procedures. The conservation wave was not limited in the US only but started in European countries as well as in Russia as soon as the all other countries of the world realized the need of conservation natural resources. So in conservation of important natural resources, where geographical conditions permit vegetations to take the form of trees, the forest is one of the major forms of the natural landscape. The forest resources are valuable as an integral part of the ecosystem from the commercial point of view and as providers or shelters to wildlife. Today's forest provides the raw material for over 5,000 products worth about $23 million. So this much of amount forest supports. They supports industries which are employees 1.3 millions of people also. Uh, but the most unfortunate setback came in the form of commercial exploitations, which result in mass destruction of forest cover year after year. Originally, over two-fifths of the land area of the earth, exclusive of the polar regions, or about 1200 million hectares, was covered with natural forest. So the history of the exploitations of forest is an old as much as himself, but during earlier time it was balanced through a natural growth process because at that time forest cutting was done for personal or community use only. The commercial use of forest nowadays has reached such an extent that is become the threat to the environment. So, what are the form of treat of the environment are increase in temperature, lesser perception, increased rate of soil erosions, increase in frequency and volume of floods, loss of soil productivity, extinct of several species, non-availability of several essential forest products, and imbalance of ecosystems. So these are the factors for forest problem. The harmful effect of deforestations are so much that all over the world people and authorities have realized that forest resources must be conserved properly in order to protect our ecosystem. So method of forest conservation, first one is regulated and plants cutting of trees. So we can randomly cut the trees nowadays, but it should be in planned manner. So one of the main reasons for deforestation is commercial felling of trees. According to an estimates of over 16 million of cubic meters of wood have been used for various purposes in the world. Although trees are considered as a uh, main resource when exploited on a very large scale. So we have to cutting should be regulated by adopting methods like clear cutting, selective cutting, and shelter wood cutting. So here in the clear cutting method is useful for those areas where the same type of trees are available. In selective cutting, only mature trees are selected for cutting. This process is to be followed in rotation. Shelter wood cutting is where first of all useless trees have been cut down, followed by medium and best quality timber trees. Control over forest fire. So let's discuss it. Destruction or loss of forest by fire is fairly common because trees are highly exposed to fire, and once started it becomes difficult to control. So sometimes the fire starts by natural processes, and other times it may be caused by human beings or any others. So in order to save forest from fire, it is necessary to adopt latest techniques of firefightings. Some of the fire suppression techniques are to develop 3 meters wide fire lanes around the periphery of the fire. Backfires, arrangement of water supply should be there. Reforestation and afforestation. The sustained wild concept dictates that whenever timber is removed, either by block cutting or by selective cutting, that area must be reforested. This may be done by natural or artificial method. Similarly, any forested land which has been destroyed by fire or mining activity should be reforested. Then check over forest clearance for agricultural and habitations purpose. Most of the present day agricultural land was once forested and then cleared for the use of agriculture, but now it has reached the stage where further clearance will be dangerous for the entire ecosystem. There are tribal in some parts of Asia, South Africa, and America, where shifting cultivations is still a part of their system of land procurement. Then protection of forest. The existing forest should be protected. Apart from commercial cutting, unorganized grazing is also one of the reasons. Proper utilization of forest products and forests. Generally, forests have been cut for logs and the rest of the tree, stump, limbs, branch are fragile, etc., left out in the forest as worthless debris. Further, waste occurs at the sawmills. There is a need for use all this waste material so that proper we can utilize properly. Role of government in forest conservation. Government should be pass act on for the conservation of the forest, survey of the forest resources, categorization of forest areas and proper delimitations of reserve forest areas, find out the areas where the reforestations can be done, regulate the commercial use of forest products, protect forest from fire, mining and other natural calamities, develop national parks, encourage forest development activities like social forestry, agroforestry, etc. Prepare master plan for both for long term and short term period. So next is forest management. So in forest management of forest resources is the key to all conservation efforts. In forest management, the following aspects should be taken into consideration. What are the aspects? Now, survey of forest, categorization of forest, economy use of forest, administrative settings for the forest, and uh, training programs for the person's engagement in the forest. Then social use of forest, hmm, social use of forest. Then social agro forest, development of new techniques for the forest, research for efficient use in the forest, and a policy decision and their proper implementations. So next we'll discuss about soil conservation. So soil is the uppermost layer of Earth's surface which support all the forms of life. It is in the soil that all plants have their roots and from which they absorb life substances. So here moisture and natural nutrients the soil content, and it should be maintained properly. As the nation's soil resources are fertile, like measures will that state have more stability and will be more richer. So main reasons for the loss of soil is the soil erosion. So there are four kind of soil erosion: normal soil erosion by water, wind soil erosion, and accelerated soil erosion. So in this category, normal soil erosion is a natural and a very slow process, therefore not harmful. Rather, it helps in soil formation. Soil erosion by water is quite widespread and main reasons of soil loss and loss of fertility. Water soil erosion is the four types: sheet erosion, reel erosion. These are the types of erosion. The third agent of soil erosion is the wind. Winds are most effective in semi-arid regions and arid regions. While the acceleration of soil erosion is done by human activities, which accelerate the process of soil erosions. Then we'll discuss about techniques of soil conservation. So soil conservation can be controlled by adapting land management practices and also by changing the pattern of some human activity which accelerate soil erosions. The following activities are counter farming. That means uh, counter farming may be defined as plucking, seeding, cultivating, and harvesting across the slope rather than with it. Then strip cropping on land with a decided slope. Planting crops on contour strips will be an effective erosions deterrent. For effective control, the width of the contour strip should vary inversely with the length of the slope. Then terracing. The practice of terracing has been common in ancient China. The flat step-like bench, step-by-step process of farming. Terrace are now or not useful. The modern terrace is an embankment of earth conservation across a slope in which, in such a way as to control water runoff and minimize erosions. Then reclamation. Gullies are dangerous signals that indicates land in eroding rapidly and may become a waste land, as in case of vast areas along the rivers of Chambal and Yamuna. If a gully is small, it may be plugged in and that's seeded to quick growing crops like barley, maize, jawar, wheat. These are shelter belts. These are the green belts of trees which help to break the force of strong wind and thus prevent of cut to a minimum the blowing away of the lost of soil. Other measures of soil conservation are expansion of vegetations, cover and a productive afforestation, controlling grazing, flood control, prohibition of shifting cultivation, proper land utilization, maintenance of soil fertilities. Then conservation of water. Water is an indispensable component of our ecosystem and the essence of our life. On an average, each individual uses 50 liters of water per day in a rural area and 150 liters in urban area after from a drinking purpose. So water is used for irrigations as well as in industries use whenever availability about 12 metric to 14,000 metric water is used annually. So all of this water conservations required, which can be proper distribution system of water, rational use of underground water and purification of water. Then we have to control water deforestation and protect of water from pollutions. Then wildlife conservation, like forest, wildlife is also national resource which not only helps in maintaining the ecological balance but is also beneficial from economics. recreational and aesthetic points of view, there was a time when human interference was minimum. The number of wild animals were quite high, and there was no problem for their protections or conservation. But with the expansion of agricultural settlement, industrial and other development activities are mainly due to greed of man. The number of wild animals gradually become lesser and lesser, with the result that several species of animals have been pronounced extinct and several others are in the wakes of being done so. That's why our wildlife conservations are required. Populations growth, the expansion of agricultural and livestock rising, the building of cities and roads and pollutions are among many pressures on the natural habitat of wildlife, along with illegal hunting, habitat reduction and its degradation has threatened the biodiversity of the region where these are rampant. Preservation of wildlife does not mean a blanket protection to all flora and fauna species. Rather, it implies a proper judicious control over the multiplication of plants and animals which interact together to provide a proper environment to man whose very existence is in today. Due to the irrational use of natural and biotic resources of the earth in the past, most of the wildlife has been destroyed beyond retrieval. So it's need time and it will be survive. So conservation of energy resources, almost 90% of the world's current energy supply is based on fossils or mineral sources, oil, coal, gas, and uranium. Only 10% is from renewable resources, especially hydropowers and biomass, while the share of solar and wind energy is below 1.01%. So we can say that oil is 34.2%, coal is 30%, gas is 19%, nuclear is 5%, hydropower is 5.3 only, wood biomass 1%, wind, solar, geothermal is also very less percent. So here we can say that we have to do more and more work for conservation of energy resources. So thank you for watching this video.